It's Motivation Monday, and this morning we want to talk about the pursuit of happiness because sometimes it's easier said than done. But there are some things we can all do to help us on that journey. Dannie De Novo is a happiness coach and the author of Get in a Good Mood and Stay There. This morning she joins us now live to share her journey from anxiety and depression to a happy, thriving life. Good morning, Dannie.
Good morning. It's so good to be with you.
Oh, good to have you on for sure. We want to get to your tips, but I want to begin with what led you on this journey to begin with.
I had a very troubling childhood full of anxiety and depression. And I was functioning in life as an adult. I was paying the bills and going to work, but I was living a pretty miserable life. And then one day I was stirring a pot on the stove, making dinner, and my baby girl, she was about a year old, she was on the floor and she had a little bowl and spoon that she was playing with. She looked up at me with her big brown eyes and she started mimicking me. And at first I thought it was the coolest thing I had ever seen, but then I almost fainted on top of her. I became nauseous because I realized she was copying me and I was teaching her how to live a very unfulfilled life. So I made the promise right then and there to her on that floor. I was going to learn everything there was to learn about happiness so I could teach her how to be happy.
So what are the tips you can share with all of us? Because we're all going through something, even if we don't talk about it. How can we change our perspective on what's happening and thrive?
This human thing is really hard. So there's things you can do every single day. The first is be brave. You got to stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit, and you've got to do that every day. And sometimes you've got to do it in a big, big way just to kind of keep yourself on your toes. And then I say you've got to be vulnerable. You've got to soften to life. You've got to open up to it and kind of let things in. And you've got to teach yourself to be okay with uncertainty at times. Be honest with yourself. What really makes you happy? Are you in alignment with that? Are you really being honest about what gets you going, what lights your fire inside? And then you've got to be in alignment with those heart's desires. You've got to act in conformity with what you want, despite what anyone else has to say about it. And you have to be present. We're so anxious and overwhelmed because we're always worried about what's going to happen in the future. But that might not even happen. And guess what? Your happiness doesn't live in the future. It lives right now in the present. So that's where you need to be.
When you talk about staying present and then also being vulnerable, I had a friend tell me the other day that happiness is called happiness because it's based on what's happening, meaning it can change from day to day. At what point should you just accept that, hey, I'm not happy right now? And that's okay.
It's okay to admit that you're not happy right now, but it's not okay to dwell in that. That's where I got stuck in that depressive cycle. People were saying it's okay to be sad and depressed. It's okay to process those feelings, but it's not okay to sit with those day in and day out. You've got to learn how to change that cycle of thinking. You can train your brain, just like you train your muscles at the gym, to live a happier life and to have a better attitude about life each and every day.
At what point should you seek medical or professional attention?
Well, you should always seek medical and professional attention if you feel you need it. But I think you need to supplement on top of it. I went through everything medically possible, and I still wasn't really coming out of that depression and anxiety. I had to find the right things for me. And there's little things you can do throughout the day just to kind of switch you onto that frequency too. Things you can even keep in your pocket to just help you get out of that anxious cycle or that depressive cycle, bring you back to the present moment, and then you're conscious again of your thinking, and you can remind yourself, okay, today I'm thinking about happiness and what makes me happy.
And I know that some of those tips you give in your book. So where can people go to get that and also just to learn more of your tips moving forward?
All of my books are on Amazon.com, and you can find out all of my tips at my website, which is DannieDeNovo.com.
All right, Dannie, thank you so much. Stay happy.
Thank you. You too.